Patty sneaks into Jack's hospital room. As Diane realizes the trap is closing in the young and the restless, spoilers suggest that the danger surrounding Jack Abbott is far from over. And the next episode may prove that Patty Williams is even more terrifying when she is cornered than when she is in control. Jack has already survived one brutal attack, but survival has only made him more dangerous to Patty. As long as he remains unconscious, Patty's lie still has room to breathe. As long as he cannot speak, Diane Jenkins Abbott remains trapped under suspicion. But the moment Jack wakes up, everything changes. He can tell the truth. He can identify Patty as the woman who stabbed him. He can clear Diane's name and expose the full madness behind the frame-up. Patty knows this better than anyone, and that knowledge may drive her to take one of the darkest risks of her life. In Wednesday's episode, Patty will reportedly sneak into Jack's hospital room disguised in surgical scrubs, carrying a syringe, and preparing to make sure Jack takes her secret to the grave. The emotional pressure begins with Diane, who understands the danger more clearly than almost anyone else. Diane has not merely been accused of a crime she did not commit, she has been placed at the center of a trap that was built with frightening precision. Patty did not just attack Jack in panic. She created a story. She arranged the timing. She used Diane's disappearance, Diane's return, Diane's complicated history, and Jack's vulnerable condition to make one false conclusion seem believable. When Diane tells Kyle that Patty intends to finish Jack off, she is not speaking from paranoia. She is recognizing the logic of Patty's desperation. Patty cannot afford for Jack to wake up. Patty cannot afford for him to say her name. Patty cannot afford for Diane to regain control of the narrative. If Jack lives and speaks, Patty's plan collapses. If Jack dies before he can expose her, Diane may remain the most convenient suspect. Kyle tries to reassure his mother by reminding her that they have placed a guard outside Jack's room, but Diane knows that is not enough. A guard may stop an ordinary threat, but Patty is not ordinary. Patty has already proven that she can manipulate people, slip through cracks, weaponize appearances, and turn sympathy into opportunity. Diane's fear is not that the Abbott family has done nothing. Her fear is that they have underestimated the enemy. When she tells Kyle that Patty has staged everything perfectly, the line carries the weight of a woman who sees the walls closing in. All the evidence points to one person, and that person is Diane. She understands how it looks. She knows she was missing. She knows she escaped captivity and returned into chaos. She knows Jack was found stabbed. She knows Patty is ready to claim Diane was the attacker. Diane may be innocent, but innocence does not automatically protect someone when a villain has already written the story everyone else is being asked to believe. That is what makes Diane's situation so compelling and so painful. She is fighting on two fronts at once. On one front, she is fighting for Jack's life because she loves him and because he is the only person who can fully expose Patty's lie. On the other front, she is fighting for her own freedom because Patty's frame-up threatens to destroy her future. Diane's fear for Jack is therefore tangled with fear for herself, but that does not make her selfish. It makes the situation more human. If Jack dies, she loses her husband. If Jack dies, she also loses her strongest witness. If Jack dies, Patty's accusation may become much harder to disprove. Diane is living through a nightmare where grief, terror, guilt, anger, and survival all collide. She wants to be at Jack's bedside as a wife, but the world may be looking at her as a suspect. She wants to scream that Patty is the danger, but every emotional outburst could be twisted into proof that Diane is unstable. Patty has not only framed Diane legally, she has trapped her emotionally. Kyle, meanwhile, is trying to remain strong for both of his parents, but the pressure on him is enormous. He helped rescue Diane from captivity, and he knows his mother is telling the truth. He also knows Jack is lying unconscious because of Patty's obsession. Yet Kyle's ability to protect his family is limited by the fact that everyone else still needs evidence. He can stand by Diane. He can insist she was kidnapped, He can push the police to investigate Patty and Dr. Lawrence Markham. He can demand that Jack's room be guarded. But Kyle cannot force Jack to wake up, and he cannot force the authorities to instantly accept Diane's version of events. That helplessness may be what drives him hardest. Kyle is used to family conflict, corporate battles, and emotional chaos, but this is different. This is life and death. His father may die. His mother may be framed. And the woman responsible may still be close enough to strike again. The security outside Jack's room should offer comfort, but in true soap fashion, one tiny lapse may create the perfect opening. The Abbott family has arranged for someone to guard the door, believing that no one dangerous will be able to reach Jack. But after Jack's scan is completed, the guard reportedly steps away to get water, leaving Jack vulnerable at exactly the wrong time. That detail may sound simple, but it is exactly the kind of small mistake that changes everything in Genoa City. A door left unattended. A hallway momentarily quiet. A family member distracted. A nurse called away. A guard assuming nothing can happen in a few minutes. In the world of the young and the restless, those few minutes are all a desperate villain needs. Patty has likely been watching, waiting, and calculating. She does not need hours. She only needs a narrow window when Jack is alone, unconscious, and unable to defend himself. Patty's disguise makes the scene even more chilling. By wearing surgical scrubs, she turns the hospital's own environment into camouflage. In a busy medical setting, people in scrubs move through hallways constantly. They enter rooms, carry charts, check monitors, and pass by nurses' stations without drawing much attention. Patty knows that a familiar face may be noticed, but a person dressed like part of the medical staff can disappear into the rhythm of the hospital. This is not merely an impulsive move. It suggests preparation. It suggests that Patty has thought through the setting and chosen the costume most likely to get her close to Jack. That level of planning makes her more dangerous because it proves she is not simply spiraling. She is channeling her panic into action. Once inside Jack's room, Patty reportedly speaks to him while he lies unconscious, warning him that she cannot let him ruin her plan to frame Diane. That moment could become one of the episode's most disturbing scenes because Jack cannot answer. Patty can say everything she would never dare say if he were awake. She can confess her fear, her anger, and her twisted logic to the one person whose voice could end her freedom. In a way, unconscious Jack becomes both her audience and her greatest threat. She may stand over him and tell herself that he forced this outcome. She may blame Diane. She may insist that Jack would have ruined everything by choosing the wrong woman, by waking up, by telling the truth. Patty's mind may turn murder into necessity, and that is what makes the scene so unsettling. She is not just trying to escape justice. She is trying to silence truth itself. The syringe raises the stakes immediately. Patty does not need to use a knife again. She does not need to create another bloody scene. In a hospital room, a syringe can be disguised as treatment, medication, or routine care. That makes it frightening because Jack is surrounded by medical tools meant to save him, yet Patty may use one of those tools as a weapon. The drama does not need to become graphic to be terrifying. The terror comes from the vulnerability of the situation. Jack is lying in a bed, possibly hooked to monitors, weak from his injuries, and unaware that the woman who stabbed him has returned. Patty holds the means to end his life quietly, and if she succeeds, Diane may be blamed not only for the stabbing but possibly for the death that follows. Patty may believe that if Jack never wakes up, no one can contradict her. But the audience knows that secrets in Genoa City rarely stay buried forever. The real question is whether the truth will surface in time to save Diane from being destroyed. Diane's intuition may become the only thing standing between Jack and Patty's next attack. When Diane tells Kyle that Patty intends to finish Jack, she is thinking several steps ahead. She understands that Patty's frame-up only works if Jack remains silent. She understands that Patty's love for Jack has twisted into a willingness to kill him. Diane may begin to feel that every second away from Jack's room is dangerous. She may push Kyle to check the guard, call the hospital, contact Michael Baldwin, or warn the staff not to let anyone unfamiliar near Jack. But Diane's problem is credibility. If she sounds frantic, people may dismiss her as hysterical. If she sounds accusatory, they may say she is trying to shift blame. If she demands extra protection, they may ask whether she is afraid for Jack or afraid of what Jack might say when he wakes. Patty's trap works because it makes Diane's most reasonable fears sound self-serving. Michael Baldwin's legal battle for Diane also becomes more complicated because Patty's hospital move could either expose the truth or deepen the suspicion. Michael already faces a difficult challenge. Patty has done an excellent job making Diane look guilty, and the prosecution may not be ready to dismiss the case simply because Diane insists she was framed. Michael needs proof, and proof is slippery when the real culprit is actively creating confusion. Lauren believing in Michael's instincts may become important here. Lauren knows Michael well enough to understand when he is locked onto a truth that others are missing. She may not have all the evidence herself, but she can trust that Michael sees the flaws in Patty's story. Her support could help steady him as he prepares for a legal fight that may become more personal and more urgent by the hour. Michael is not merely defending Diane from an accusation. He may be racing against a second crime that could make the first accusation much harder to undo. The legal strategy will likely revolve around timeline, motive, and opportunity. Diane's timeline must be established clearly: where she was, how she escaped, when Kyle reached her, when Lawrence was drugged, and when they arrived back at the Abbott mansion or hospital. Patty's motive must be exposed: her obsession with Jack, her hatred of Diane, and her need to prevent Jack from identifying her. Opportunity must be proven through the hospital breach, the missing guard, the scrubs, and possibly any surveillance footage that places Patty near Jack's room. If Patty is caught on camera, Michael's defense could gain a powerful weapon. But if she avoids cameras or disguises herself well enough, the case remains murky. The hospital may become a second crime scene, and every detail will matter. Who saw the person in surgical scrubs? Was a badge missing? Did anyone notice unusual behavior? Was a syringe taken from a supply area? Did Jack's monitors show any sudden change? Did Patty leave fingerprints, fibers, or traces behind? These questions could turn the episode into a suspenseful, investigative puzzle. Kyle may be the one to act when the guard's absence is discovered. If he realizes the guard stepped away, panic may hit him instantly. He may rush toward Jack's room, fearing that Diane was right. Diane may follow, terrified that her warning came too late. The show could build enormous suspense by cutting between Patty inside the room and Kyle moving down the hallway, unaware of how close he is to preventing disaster. Patty may raise the syringe just as footsteps approach. Jack's hand may twitch. A monitor may beep. Diane may call Jack's name outside the door. Any small interruption could save him. The scene has all the ingredients of classic daytime drama: a helpless victim, a disguised villain, a family racing toward the truth, and a secret that could either survive or explode depending on a matter of seconds. Patty's emotional state during the attempted silencing will be just as important as the action itself. She may cry while threatening Jack. She may tell him she is sorry. She may say that Diane made her do this. She may insist that she loved him more than anyone and that he should have understood. This contradiction is central to Patty's character. She can be cruel and wounded at the same time. She can commit terrible acts while speaking the language of love. That does not make her innocent, but it makes her dangerous in a specific way. She is not cold, like a typical mastermind. She is emotional, unstable, and theatrical, which means she can be unpredictable even to herself. She might hesitate at the last second because some part of her still cannot bear to kill Jack. Or she might push forward because her fear of being exposed is stronger than whatever love she claims to feel. Jack's unconscious presence gives the episode a tragic weight. He is the center of everyone's fear, but he has no agency in the moment. Diane needs him. Kyle needs him. Michael needs his testimony. Patty fears him. The police need his statement. The Abbott family needs their patriarch back. Yet Jack lies silent while other people fight over what his silence means. That silence becomes almost a character of its own. It protects Patty temporarily. It tortures Diane. It frustrates Kyle. It complicates Michael's case. It gives the audience a reason to watch every breath, every movement, every possible sign that Jack may wake. When a soap places so much truth inside one unconscious character, every eyelid flutter becomes dramatic. Diane's statement that all evidence points to one person, and that person is her, may become one of the most important emotional beats of the episode. It shows that Diane is not blind to reality. She knows the situation looks bad. She knows people may be tempted to believe the worst. She knows her past gives her enemies ammunition, but she also knows that Patty's perfection is not real perfection. It is performance. Every frame-up has a weak point. Every lie has a seam. Diane's challenge is surviving month enough for someone to find it. That may be where Kyle and Michael become essential. Kyle can testify to what he saw and push for physical evidence from the kidnapping location. Michael can build the legal argument that Diane's behavior makes sense only if she is a victim, not an attacker. Together, they may begin pulling at the threads of Patty's story until it starts to unravel. Lauren's belief in Michael could also provide a quieter emotional counterbalance to the chaos. In a storyline filled with suspicion, Lauren's confidence matters because it shows that trust still exists somewhere in Genoa City. She may remind Michael that he has taken on impossible cases before. She may warn him not to let his anger at injustice cloud his strategy. She may also understand that Diane is not the easiest client to defend publicly, but that truth is not supposed to depend on popularity. Michael may need that grounding, because this case could become personal quickly. If Patty succeeds in harming Jack again, the emotional stakes will skyrocket and Michael will have to remain focused while everyone else spirals. The hospital staff may also come under scrutiny after Patty's intrusion. How did she get scrubs? How did she pass through the hospital unnoticed? Why did the guard leave, even briefly? Was the guard careless, or was he intentionally distracted? Did Patty arrange the water break somehow? Did someone unknowingly help her? These questions could expand the story beyond one woman sneaking into a room. Patty may be desperate, but she is also resourceful, and the possibility that she created the opening herself would make her plan even more alarming. If she manipulated the guard's absence, then Diane's warning that Patty staged everything perfectly becomes even more accurate. Patty is not just reacting. She is engineering. If Jack survives this second attempt, the consequences could be explosive. Even if he does not fully wake, medical evidence may show that someone tampered with his treatment or tried to inject him with something harmful. That would prove Diane's fear was justified and shift suspicion back toward Patty. If Patty is seen fleeing, the case against Diane could begin to collapse. If Jack partially wakes and sees Patty, even without speaking, that could become a powerful clue. But if Patty escapes without being caught, Diane's desperation may worsen. She may insist Patty was there, only to face more skepticism. The writers could stretch the suspense by allowing the audience to know Patty nearly killed Jack while the characters struggle to prove it. That kind of dramatic irony is one of the strongest tools of soap storytelling because viewers become emotionally invested in waiting for the characters to catch up to the truth. The Abbott family's fear will likely intensify after this episode. It will no longer be enough to say that Jack is being guarded. They will have to accept that Patty may be willing to go anywhere, wear anything, and risk everything to keep Jack silent. Kyle may become more aggressive in protecting his father. Diane may refuse to leave the room under any circumstances. Tracy may push for hospital security to be doubled. Billy may become furious at the incompetence that allowed Patty near Jack. Ashley, if she is already on her way back to Genoa City, may return to find the situation even worse than she imagined. The family will be united by fear, but fear can also make people lash out. Someone may blame the guard. Someone may blame the hospital. Someone may blame Diane for bringing Patty's wrath into Jack's life, even though Diane is also Patty's victim. The emotional fallout could be messy, painful, and very Abbott. Patty's attempted move also raises the stakes for Christine and the police. If the authorities continue to treat Diane as the main suspect while Patty is actively trying to kill the only witness, they risk looking dangerously slow. Detective Burrow may be new to Genoa City, but this could be the moment that forces him to reconsider the entire case. Diane's claim that Patty framed her may sound dramatic at first, but a hospital intrusion would make it much harder to dismiss. Burrow may start asking new questions. Why would Diane warn Kyle that Patty would try to finish Jack if Diane herself were guilty? Why would Patty need access to Jack's room if her story were true? Why does Patty's behavior keep aligning with Diane's accusations? The investigation may finally begin shifting in the right direction, but perhaps not before Jack comes terrifyingly close to death. By the end of the episode, viewers may be left holding their breath. Patty, dressed as someone meant to heal, may stand over Jack with a syringe meant to silence him. Diane, the woman being blamed, may be the one who understands the danger most clearly. Kyle may realize too late that a guard outside the room is only useful if the guard is actually there. Michael may continue building Diane's defense while the real criminal creates new evidence of her own guilt. Lauren may believe in Michael's instincts, but belief alone will not be enough if Patty succeeds. And Jack Abbott, still unconscious, remains the key to everything. His life, his memory, and his voice are the difference between truth and ruin. The Young and the Restless appears ready to deliver a classic hospital suspense episode filled with dread, timing, and emotional stakes. Patty's plan to frame Diane has worked better than anyone expected, but her need to silence Jack may become the very mistake that exposes her. Villains often lose not because their first plan fails, but because they return to protect it. Patty has already stabbed Jack and blamed Diane. Now, by sneaking into his room with a syringe, she risks revealing exactly what Diane has been trying to tell everyone. Patty is not finished. Patty is not sorry. And Patty will do anything to keep Jack from speaking the truth. Whether Jack wakes in time, whether Kyle interrupts the attack, or whether Diane's warning finally saves him, one thing is certain. The danger is no longer outside the hospital doors. It has already slipped inside, dressed in surgical scrubs, carrying a deadly secret, and standing beside Jack Abbott's bed.